The Seventh Tower by Garth Nix. Book 6. The Violet Keystone. Chapter 8. Tal looked down at the pathetic remnant that had been Fashnik. Adris stood next to him, still rumbling with distant thunder. It was Sherakor who wounded me, in dragon shape, and Sherakor who gave me life. I should not have taken it from his hands, Tal said quietly, repeating Fashnik's last words. What in Light's name does that mean? How can a dragon have hands?
Jailer die,
said Adris, which wasn't much help.
Where do we go now?
Tal considered for a moment, biting his lip in anxiety. There was no point in looking for the underfolk, not since he'd accidentally killed Crow, Ebbet, and the others. But perhaps he could join the Ice Carls who were attacking the castle. Adris had sensed that Audris was with them, so Mila must be there too. At least Tal fervently hoped so. Otherwise she would have gone to the ice, and that would be another death on his conscience. But Tal knew he couldn't just go and join the Ice Carls. There was Sushin, always the enemy. Tal had to admit there was very little chance his mother had taken the stone before he passed out. Sushin almost certainly had Tal's half of the Violet Keystone, so he finally had the ability to destroy the veil. I guess we have to go up, Tal said slowly. Up to the Violet Tower. The Ice Carls won't know what Sushin can do. At least, not until it's too late. Even if Mila suspects Sushin, she won't know how to stop him.
Sushin is the one who throws poison?
Asked Adris. He puffed himself into a ball that was a reasonable imitation of Shadow Master Sushin. Yes.
I don't want to go there,
said Adris.
I want to go to Audris.
We have to go to the Violet Tower, repeated Tal. The more he thought about it, the more the urgency grew inside him. Sushin could be using the Violet Keystone right now, as they wasted time talking. They had to get to the Violet Tower and stop him from destroying the veil.
I'm not going,
announced Adris, folding his arms.
You can't make me.
Tal was about to let his anger burst out into words when they both heard someone open the door. Instantly, Tal ducked behind one of the workbenches, and Adris shot up to the ceiling and spread himself out among the shadows there. The unknown intruder was trying to be very quiet. The door only opened a little way, and Tal saw someone slide in. In the dim light, he couldn't even tell whether it was a spirit shadow or someone wearing black. Adris drifted over, ready to drop on the intruder. Tal lifted his sunstone, and it began to swirl with red light in preparation for a ray of destruction. It was a person, Tal saw, not a spirit shadow. All dressed in black, with a black hood drawn tightly around his face. Tal saw a dagger in the hand held close by the intruder's side. He moved from shadow to shadow, until he could see the open globe and the body of Fashnik. He stopped suddenly then, and looked around. Tal? It was a voice from the past, a voice from the dead. Crow's voice. But that was impossible. For a moment, Tal thought he might still be under the control of the nightmare machine. But the sunstones on their silver stands were dark, the globe still open. Tal? Tal stood up slowly. Crow faced him, and slowly undid his hood. He was very pale, and there was a partly healed scar across his forehead. I thought I'd killed you, whispered Tal. Ebbet saved us, said Crow. Ebbet's alive too? Exclaimed Tal. He felt relief flood his entire body, making him feel weak. He needed to sit down. We all survived, said Crow. I thought I'd killed you, and I did hit you on the head. I'm sorry. I guess I went crazy. There's so much the Chosen have done to my family. I've been in the nightmare machine, said Tal. He didn't need to say anything else. Crow nodded and went over to look down on Fashnik's body. It took too long to come to this, he said. I'm sorry, too, said Tal after a moment, for bringing down the roof, for everything my people have done to yours. It's all changing now, said Crow. The Ice Carls will win. They have agreed that we will be free. I hope that happens, replied Tal. He was surprised to find that he meant it. He had come to learn that there was no such thing as the natural superiority of the chosen over everyone else. In fact, Tal realized with surprise that there were more underfolk and Ice Carls who he admired and looked up to. I came to rescue you, said Crow. The Codex told Ebbet where you were, or so he said. Only you seem to have rescued yourself. Silence fell awkwardly between them then. Tal still wasn't absolutely sure Crow could be trusted. Too much had happened between them in the past. Could the Free Folk boy have changed so much? I have to go, Tal said after a few more seconds of uncomfortable silence. Where? Asked Crow. The Violet Tower, Tal answered slowly. Sushin has part of the Violet Keystone. It's probably enough for him to destroy the Veil. The sun will come again and melt the ice. There will be an invasion of shadows. Thousands and thousands of shadows. I have to stop him. You will need help, said Crow. Like you helped me in the Red Tower? Asked Tal. Crow shook his head. No. I swear it in my parents' names. We fight together now. He clapped his fists, Ice Carl style, then drew out a sunstone. For a moment, Tal almost shot a red ray at him, but he forced himself to wait. Crow simply gave light and respect, and Tal let out the breath he didn't know he'd held. All right, Tal agreed. He clapped his fists too, and let the red light fade from his sunstone in order to give light in return. It was violet that shone forth, though he had not tried to make it so. Perhaps even without the violet keystone, something of the imperial majesty clung to him. We'll fight together.
Adris fight too,
boomed the spirit shadow from the ceiling.
Only, can we fight someone easier, not Sushin?
Tal ignored him. You said Ebbet told you where I was? He didn't get hurt too much? No, he was hurt, but he's all right now. And Mila is with the Ice Carls? Crow laughed for a moment, then grew suddenly serious again. Mila is the leader of the Ice Carls. She has a magical fingernail of crystal and sunstone chips they call the Talon of Dana, and she's called Mila Talonhand, war chief of the Ice Carls and living sword of Astir. She's grown, I think. If not in size, in something you can't see. You've grown too, Tal. What do you mean? Asked Tal. He looked down at himself. He didn't seem any taller or stronger or anything. You seem more important, Crow said hesitantly, as if he wasn't sure himself. Less a boy and less a chosen. You've become something else. Something more. You've changed too, at least in your choice of color, Tal said with a slight laugh. He wasn't sure he liked Crow being strange and mystical any more than he had liked him being aggressive and antagonistic. Crow looked down at his black robes, so different from the white normally worn by free folk, or the white with black lettering of the underfolk. It's true I've changed, he said. Deeper than my clothes. I know what's really important now. Tal tried to smile again, but found he couldn't. I'm glad Mila leads the Ice Carls, he said. She knows about the danger from Sushin. How far have the Ice Carls penetrated into the castle? Where's the current fighting? I know a few ways to get to the violet levels, but they may be blocked off or defended. Crow nodded. Come, let's talk as we go. There's no fighting close by, at least not yet. There are also underfolk ways to the violet levels. I will show you. Follow me.